MLB DFS picks, Friday night, August 2nd, the out of the base path picks, the picks that don't get talked about in the big shows, the big articles. They can't cover everything. So we'll cover the unfamiliar names, the unknowns, and maybe find you some value. We'll start with Tyler Phillips, rapidly becoming a familiar name. Spent a decade in Texas minor leagues, dealt with injuries, got near the top, had a Tommy John surgery, and eventually Texas says, we can't deal with this anymore. He gets DFA'd. Phillies come in and swoop up the hometown kid. Makes his first appearance in relief. Looks good against Atlanta. Then makes a second appearance and a start against Oakland. Gets the win. Pitches overall well. But the problem in that game is he does give up 2 home runs. It results in 4 earned runs. But his strikeouts are there. He looks good. That led into the spot against the Pirates. A much favorable matchup. Now, yes, obviously, Oakland's not that great of a team. They strike out a lot, but they do have pop and have had pop recently. The Pittsburgh spot we talked a lot about, and he absolutely exploded, 20.5. The Cleveland spot, last Saturday night, we discussed this a lot. Or was it Sunday? It was Saturday night. We thought, man, we love the direction that Phillips is going in. We love his stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. But against Cleveland, but as we talked about plenty of times this week, when we have a pitcher we like in a tough matchup, it's been working out. Kyle Harrison, Tyler Phillips, River Ryan, all exceeded in really tough matchups, and that was quite a masterful appearance. Phillips versus the team he grew up rooting for, the Cleveland Indians Guardians, a complete game shutout. Why is Phillips pitching so well? He has a dynamic sweeper. He is absolutely controlling hitters, and his sinker is playing pretty good as well. You look over this hot run with the Phillies, he's throwing pretty much just sinkers and sweepers, and he's holding hitters to below a 200 WOBA with both pitches. The development of that sweeper has helped out a lot. Also in these starts, for whatever reason, he has increased the velocity on that sinker from 91 miles per hour in the minors to 94 miles per hour. Got to get excited about Phillips. He's not coming cheap, but you get him against Seattle. Doesn't walk hitters. Strikeouts aren't high. So if we were going to say it, there is a flaw in the armor. It's that Phillips doesn't strike out a lot of hitters, and that is the weakness of Seattle. If he pitches a little bit more to contact, which he doesn't necessarily, he could get into trouble. But overall, you like the matchup. We like Phillips. It's not that cheap, though. Kyle Harrison at Great American Ballpark. So for some, you'll immediately say, nope, not playing Great American Ballpark in August. I get it. I understand. But he's coming off a tremendous start against the Rockies where he struck out 11. Number 1 prospect for the Giants, 24th overall. That was actually a rematch against Colorado. He had a lot of tough matchups going into that before. Cleveland, Arizona, we were good against lefties. The Mets, good against the lefties. The Phillies. And then he also shined in some tougher matchups against Minnesota and Houston. He's got an elite fastball and a slurve. He's got the pitches to absolutely strike batters out. Against Colorado in that last matchup, Colorado, bottom 5 fastball and versus curveballs. And he was able to curve, slurve, whichever you want to call it for him. It's always different for different pitchers. Fangraphs is going to call it a curve. Savant is going to baseball. Savant, Statcast is going to call it a slurve. Either way, Colorado ranked at the bottom of those pitches. He strikes out 11. He's facing Cincinnati. Great American Ballpark. Good fastball hitting team, but they can struggle against lefties. And they also do not grade out well against curveballs. So he may be able to use that slurve to pile up the strikeouts. He may have to live with a home run or two, but he's definitely going to be an option. Paul Blackburn is someone that I'm really excited about. Most people are not excited about Paul Blackburn. They saw this trade, it's like, whatever. They're just getting someone to eat innings and help maybe with a playoff push, someone in the rotation. Wrong. As we've talked about before in the podcast, the Mets changed their approach this year. They have reinvented pitchers that you didn't think were ever going to be great again. Sean Manaea, not a bad pitcher, but definitely is improving late in his career. Jose Quintana was dead, looking great. Luis, not Castillo. The name escapes me. The Yankee pitcher. It'll come to me later. Someone's shouting at the screen right now. All of these pitchers have bought into the new Mets system, which is to develop sinker balls. What? Sinker balls? Yeah, sinkers. That used to be what everyone wanted to pitch, stay low in the zone. Batters adapted and started teeing off on them. So then pitchers adapted and spin rate and going up in the zone threw hitters off. So then hitters adapted and they're looking for pitches up in the zone. So most major league pitchers are looking for those pitches up in the zone, high velocity, spin rate. And so when you face a team that's pounding the ball in the strike zone, throwing a lot of sinkers, it's not as easy to adjust. It can hurt you for a specific series. Paul Blackburn, when he started his career, 47% sinker ball pitcher, stayed in the high 40s for the first couple years, but then, like all the other pitchers in Major League Baseball, adjusted to the change. I could very easily see, and this might be a little too soon to jump on, but it's a good spot against the Angels, where the Mets say, hey, let's bring the sinker back. I want more sinker in your life. And if you look at his tertiary or secondary pitches, his curve, slider, and changeup have graded out really well, not just this season, but last season. So he's got off-speed and breaking pitches. If he can get that sinker working, he could be absolutely amazing and phenomenal down the stretch for the Mets. Marcus Stroman, not normally a pitcher we want to target. You do have a little bit of the revenge narrative against Toronto, but you don't really worry about this Toronto lineup. 49% ground ball rate. The strikeouts aren't going to be there, but that's not really the way that you want to attack the Blue Jays anyway. You can pitch to contact, you ground them out, you go deep into the game, you get better batters out, you limit hits, you get the win. I like Stroman in this spot, in this matchup. Yeah, he doesn't strike people out, but when he faces a team that gets themselves out through contact, that's where he can work. And if you look at the lineup, there isn't anybody hitting in the Toronto lineup versus right-handed pitching. There are two bats that you have to worry about: Vladimir Guerrero and Spencer Horwitz. Two. Yeah, Vlad's a good hitter. Spencer, we'll see. The numbers look good, but the rest of the lineup has been below average against right-handed pitching. Stroman can work. Stroman's cheap. I know he lacks upside, but he seems pretty safe in this spot, and there's not a lot of value for us to choose from, except for one more extreme option, and I haven't seen it completely officially mentioned, but we do have Shan Anderson at the very bottom. 5,100 against Atlanta. Atlanta, for most of the season, has not been able to hit right-handed pitching. Atlanta is a lineup full of righties, as I've mentioned before. Two lefties in Eddie Rosario and Jared Kelenic, who have been below average to average at best. The lineup is not fearful. They have turned it on a little bit lately. Olsen had the big game. Darno had the big game. But one game versus the entire season, this is just not the same Atlanta team. There is an opportunity to attack. If Anderson starts, who is this guy? Well, he pitched 2 relief outings for Texas earlier this year. Not good. Pitched 2 innings of relief a little bit later for the Marlins after being picked up. Not that great. Goes back down to the minors, does his thing. He's getting called up, getting the opportunity to start with recent trades, opening up spots in the Marlins rotation. And to be quite honest, he's earned his spot. He's not a prospect. He's not a future star. He's probably a lifelong minor leaguer, but he may get an opportunity to make things happen. And here is his opportunity in a decent spot. Now, at Atlanta, not always the best place to pitch, but the thing that we like about Anderson, if you're trying to talk yourself into him, which really isn't too hard. I mean, I will mention that he's been around forever, and usually, a guy is an interesting player when they pitch a season in the KBO. Anderson pitched, the treadmill ruck came to an end, so you had to hear the beep. Pitched a season in the KBO in 2022 or 2023, 336 ERA during that season, so pretty good. But what we like this year is that in the month of July in the minors, 3 starts, a 1.20 ERA. So he is trending in the right direction. You look at his last start in the minors, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 5 Ks. You get him at 5,100, there is a possibility that he goes out there in a matchup that can work in your favor. Thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, share. See you guys.